Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and welcome to one of our favorite traditions here at THV11, the Good News Special. I'm Dawn Scott, and tonight we take a moment to step away from the crazy, hectic holiday season to pause and remember all of the good that happened this year. In a world of conflict, miscommunication, sometimes the good can be hard to find, but we know it is out there because we see it every day here in Arkansas. And we begin with a story filled with the giving spirit of the season from THV11's Mercedes McKay.
Caden, where you at, bud?
It wasn't your usual pep rally at Mountain Pine High School.
It was pretty crazy. Everybody was getting ready for him to come and excited.
Extra security filled the parking lot while the school sign read a different message than normal.
It's just great to come back home. You know, I love Mountain Pine. I have Arkansas tattooed on my arm.
The youngest inductee into the National Radio Hall of Fame, making a trip back to the town that was always there for him.
I didn't have the most, stable home life, so I relied on a lot of people to help me.
And on Friday afternoon, he showed his gratitude.
Think you play ball in these?
By giving every member of the basketball team brand new Air Jordans.
It was pretty crazy. Wasn't expecting it.
This gesture coming from a personal challenge Bobby had years ago when he was the one out there on the court.
Whenever I was growing up playing ball, you had to have matching shoes, and if you didn't, you were almost shamed, and so my goal was to never make that be a factor with the players here.
Now nobody on the Mountain Pine Red Devils basketball team will ever have to experience that feeling.
It shows us that he actually cares.
This one-of-a-kind supporter wanting these players to know one thing.
You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the rich kid. You don't have to be really anything other than someone who's going to put in the effort.
The born and raised Arkansans spreading kindness,
14.
One basketball shoe at a time.
This is my home, and so I want the whole state to know that I'm here, and I don't have to know you or be a blood relative, but I still care about you.
In Mountain Pine, Mercedes McKay, THV11 News.
Everyone has something they want for Christmas, but for some families, it's just not that easy. One Central Arkansas man made it his mission to help, though. His name is Eric Lamb. He prefers to be called Black Santa. And for the last few years, he's cooked and sold meals throughout the year to raise money to buy and wrap hundreds of presents for hundreds of Arkansas families. He even had to rent out a storage unit to hold all the toys this year.
I personally delivered to each of them home. And like I went this past Sunday to a family with a mother in a wheelchair with twin boys, and how she just hugged me and said she prayed to God to send her an angel. He sent me and one for me, her kids, when they had a Christmas.
He also got a little help from Arkansas State Police this year. They helped deliver toys to 300 children. But presents don't have to come from Santa on Christmas. Sometimes friends give gifts just because. Here's our Melissa Zigowitz.
Hey, what's going on?
High school senior Brandon Quells knows a thing or two about passing period because roaming the hallways is now his favorite pastime.
It's awesome. I may hit a few doors, but it's worth it.
But getting around wasn't always this easy for Brandon.
I was using a manual wheelchair. It was like my arms would get really tired.
That's when Tanner Wilson decided to step in.
He's just been a really good friend, and I wanted to do him a favor.
Tanner saved up enough money to buy Brandon his own electric wheelchair.
I just felt like I needed to do it, and I wanted to.
His teacher capturing the moment on video when Tanner surprised him during class this week.
And then they came in, my face just blew up. I was crying everywhere. It was like, wow, I can't believe he did that for me.
It was worth it.
Tanner says it took him working a part-time job for 2 years to save up.
Well, Brandon, he's just always been there for me.
I did not know he was saving up. It's been my dream just to have one of these, and he made my dream come true.
And Brandon's chair is already decked out.
One of our teachers here, Miss Ray, she did that for me.
So when he came in, I said, "Oh, Brandon, you've got to have some flames on there because you're going to be buzzing down these halls in no time." I just went home and made him some flames. I asked him what colors.
It's got my favorite color on it, orange and everything.
Tanner says saving up the money was the least he could do.
I wish people would care more about others than just themselves.
Because seeing Brandon smile is priceless.
Everybody keeps asking me, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Yeah, 100%.
I'm not the best driver, Tanner. Not yet, anyway.
The good news of 2019 continues with uplifting stories of two special Arkansas children and the communities that surround them with love.
pep rallies, fall tradition for teams ahead of competition under the Friday night lights. But this pep rally in Carlisle is different. It's in celebration of a battle already won.
It's over, and I can't really believe it's over. It's been our life for so long, but it just, God is good.
5-year-old Annabelle Hearn took her last dose of chemo Thursday, signaling the end of her fight.
For 2 years, 1 month, and 30 days.
With leukemia.
Annabelle has taught me so much in 7 weeks, way more than I probably can ever teach her in this whole school year.
Lessons about positivity and perseverance her teacher Tammy Perkins wanted to celebrate, so she enlisted help. On Friday morning, Annabelle and her parents arrived at Carlisle Pre-K to a big surprise.
This pep rally's just for you.
One that rendered Annabelle speechless.
Were you surprised? I was surprised.
And Lindy Hearn says this act of love adds to an already long list of reasons she's thankful for her community.
It's unreal. These people have helped us through the hardest thing, and I'm just grateful, and I feel loved, and I feel overwhelmed in the best of ways.
This has been the best pep rally ever Carlisle has ever pulled off.
A pep rally celebrating the type of victory not found on a football field.
There's always mountains in front of you that you face, and you can climb over them. And Annabelle proves it.
Annabelle's cancer just got me.
In Carlisle, Michael Aaron, THV11 News.
We've met so many good people this year, just like the community that threw Annabelle that special pep rally, and the little boy at the center of our next story. His name is Eli, and even though he's less than 2 years old, his life has been pretty remarkable. Rob Evans shares this story tonight.
That started off the wonderful story of Eli.
The wonderful story of Eli. A story that began when Eli decided he could not wait to come light up the world.
He decided that he was going to be born early. He was 10 weeks early.
Eli's mom and dad already knew about his Down syndrome diagnosis, but they weren't prepared for what doctors told them. Eli wouldn't be able to cry, and they wouldn't be able to hold him or even see him. Eli was having none of that.
He came out breaking the rules. He was crying. We got to hold him and see him.
The earliest chapters of his story were spent in the NICU.
We couldn't stay with him in the hospital the first 4 months of his life.
Months of medical complications piling up, and then
August 31st. I'll never forget that day. His heart had stopped.
Eli was rushed to surgery, but he couldn't be operated on because on the way, he had a seizure. Now, eventually, he was strong enough for surgery, and after 172 days, Eli took his first car ride home.
I remember telling my wife about midnight, we did it, high five. That was night one.
No more surgery, just one happy baby boy.
Where to begin, man? If you have a bad day, you will not have a bad day once you meet Eli.
Eli with that smile that can only be described as infectious.
Well, he smiles from his toes. I mean, it starts down deep, and then it just like, his whole body just like, you know, it just comes to life.
That smile,
oh my goodness. Gosh.
And when Little Rock Family Magazine asked the readers who was the cutest baby in Central Arkansas,
knocked it out of the park, record number of votes.
Eli was the overwhelming choice.
This makes me happy. It makes me happy for many reasons.
Because Eli is spreading more than smiles. He's spreading awareness.
Before Eli was born, I had no idea what Down syndrome was. It was a scary thing that, now that I know what it is, I wish everybody had the chance to know someone with Down syndrome. It's a wonderful thing.
They just make the world a better place. And if we can get that out into the world, the world will change its mind.
Take a look at this billboard in New York City's Times Square. That's Eli and his dad, the smiling faces of what Down syndrome really looks like.
My hope for Eli is that the world sees him the same way I see him. There is no disability.
And as Eli's story continues,
he loves to play and he loves to flirt. He's not met a girl he doesn't like.
As his first words are caught on cell phone.
And say bye-bye.
Good job.
We will continue telling Eli's story as one remarkable person.
I would love for Eli to do everything that a typical kid does. Go to school, drive a car, have a girlfriend, get married, have kids. I don't know what the future holds for him, but I'll be there.
When life hands you a series of setbacks and hardships, finding your way out can be tough. Next, stories of perseverance and hope from right here in Arkansas.
How is it?
Very good.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't have any teeth, but I can still eat it. It's good.
Plate after plate of Thanksgiving dinner, around 1,000 in all, served to people who are a little down on their luck. But when they entered the Hall of Industry,
I love the moment when people walk in and the cheerleaders are cheering and people are clapping. Everyone deserves a place and a moment in their life when they're cheered for and loved. And we just want them to feel that, the excitement that they're here.
the excitement carries into the clothing store.
What are you looking for? Are you looking for warm stuff?
With more than 31,000 items that had been donated. And a barber shop, a play area. A judge offered legal help, and the state's Division of Workforce Services helped people find jobs, training, and other resources.
One of the areas that we have been able to touch has been helping people with child care and transportation, because those are some significant barriers that folks have.
I'm amazed, I'm happy, I'm overjoyed.
Terry Kennedy brought her sons and grandsons to volunteer with her. She feels the love that Pastor Loy puts into this event.
It was my children out here at one point, me and my children that was in need. And that vision he had, he took it and he ran with it. And this is what it became. It's always a better future. It's always a brighter day. When you think that you're doing bad, there's somebody out there doing worse than you're doing, just hold on. Just hold on. The future is bright, as you can see.
In Little Rock,
Happy Thanksgiving!
David Lippman, THV 11 News.
Always a better future, always a brighter day. Friends, that is so true. And we found so many stories this year of people pulling themselves up and out of bad circumstances and working toward that brighter day. One of those people is Roy Rawls. Until recently, Roy was homeless, yearning for a way to get back on his feet. And that's when he heard about a program here in Little Rock called Bridge to Work. It pays homeless people minimum wage to pick up trash in Little Rock. So Roy got to work and made enough money to get his own apartment.
Online and filled out the application, and that was about 4 months ago, and here I am.
I just stuck it in an envelope, and every time he would work with us, he'd put another $10 or so back.
Roy is settling into his apartment, and his next goal is to finish school to become a licensed barber. Finding yourself hitting a low point in life can be incredibly daunting to overcome. This year, our Ashley Godwin met a man whose low point was all caught on video, but instead of letting it define him, he chose to accept help and accept grace.
I was angry at myself, I was angry at God, but what I've come to realize is I don't think that I picked that church. I think God picked me, because I couldn't pull myself up out of my addiction on my own, so I think God helped me do that.
Brenton Wynn was several years into his addiction.
I was an alcoholic and I abused methamphetamine.
And he was hitting rock bottom. Earlier this year, he found himself at the Central Baptist Church late one night.
I don't really remember a lot of the night. I was on several different substances.
Very expensive soundboard had been thrown over the balcony, but was dangling.
There was writing on the walls, spray down the hallway from a fire extinguisher, and fire damage to the property.
To be honest with you, he strengthened the church, because I saw hundreds of us come together and work together to get us back where we needed to be so we could have a worship experience on Sunday.
Pastor Don Chandler had already forgiven Brenton for his actions and worked with the prosecuting attorney to give Brenton a second chance at recovery instead of prison. Pastor Chandler didn't realize that would lead to Brenton's baptism in the same sanctuary he damaged just months earlier.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Many of them didn't know that's who he was until I announced that. And there were literally gasps from the congregation, recognizing, I think, very quickly what the Lord had done.
But really what that did, that opened the door for me to, because I received that grace and God's love. It was just reflecting through that church. And I just want to continue to show that love and grace towards other people.
It was the worst flooding many Arkansans had seen in their lifetime, leaving behind destruction and despair. But so many people stepped up to help their fellow Arkansans.
It's hard to believe, but our state experienced historic flooding just 6 months ago. The Arkansas River reached levels never seen before, flooding homes and entire towns. And though we will all be dealing with the aftermath for years to come, as we look back at the flood, the stories that stand out to us most are of community and generosity.
Most definitely heartbreaking. Very sad.
Never seen it this bad.
Almost the entire community of Pendleton is underwater. You have to take a boat to get just about anywhere. Mailboxes totally underwater. You can see some utility boxes also submerged in here. Of course, power is out in this community.
This is the last house on the block still standing. It's the only one that remains dry. The homeowners have built a wall out of sandbags to try and keep it safe. From above, you can see the house has become an island in the middle of the floodwaters.
The people here in the Willow Beach neighborhood in North Little Rock, they thought they got lakefront property, but this flood has turned it into riverfront property with water coming right over a levee that separates the lake from the Arkansas.
You can see just how deep those floodwaters are by looking at this gas station right here behind me that's halfway underwater, but those floodwaters are still expected to rise another foot by Sunday.
One thing about our community, they're really tight, and whenever things get tough, they just really get the band together and help each other out.
When I got here around noon, they had already handed out about 50 of these bags. Volunteers came and filled them up and handed them to people who live in the area. They say they just want to make sure their neighbors are okay.
Anything that I had planned today was, minuscule compared to just helping those who are going through trouble.
They called and we came to help.
Complete strangers.
We need volunteers, and here they are.
Helping an elderly couple desperate for a lending hand ahead of what's expected to reach record floods in Faulkner County.
What we're seeing is that Arkansans' hearts were strong, were resilient, and that these floodwaters are going to cause a lot of damage. That has caused a lot of damage, and we're going to take care of these people.
People are just so thankful. Sometimes they even break down and cry when we show up because it's like an answered prayer to them. Because they've lost everything.
I'm very proud of them, and I know that we're going to be stronger because of this.
It's extraordinary to see citizens that are out there. They might be on dry land, but others aren't, and they're helping their neighbors. And that's what we do here in Arkansas.
And that is what we do here in Arkansas. We say it all the time at THV11, we are better together. And it is not just a catchy song or phrase, it is the truth. We can all do so much more and make such a larger impact if we do it together. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Good News special. We hope it inspires you during this holiday season, and we look forward to sharing even more good news in the new year. I'm Dawn Scott. Good night from all of us at THV11.